A young police officer's murder seems like a random attack, but as the investigation unfolds, shocking secrets are uncovered. Was her death just a tragic coincidence, or did it expose a deadly conspiracy within the very police force she swore to protect? With corruption, betrayal, and dangerous criminals involved, Detective Harris must navigate a web of lies that leads to a revelation no one saw coming. Stay with us as we uncover the shocking truth behind the murder of Officer Kelly Adams. What started as a simple case of random violence turns into a web of betrayal, corruption, and hidden secrets within the police force itself. Like and subscribe to follow the investigation as it unfolds. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss a twist in this gripping true crime story. The sun had barely set when Officer Kelly Adams, a young and bright recruit with only 3 years on the force, was found lying in a pool of blood outside an old diner on the edge of town. Her body was discovered by a civilian walking to their car. It seemed like a random act of violence, a young cop, fresh on the job, taken down without warning. At first glance, it appeared to be a botched robbery. Her gun and badge were gone, and there were signs of a struggle. Her pockets had been turned inside out, a clear indication of a thief's attempt to steal. But there was something more to the scene than met the eye. Detective Rachel Harris was assigned to the case, and what seemed like an open and shut investigation began to raise troubling questions. The evidence was sparse, but Harris knew this wasn't a simple mugging. Kelly's personal life showed nothing that would suggest any enemies. She had no known connections to dangerous criminals, no history of risky behavior. But something was off. Kelly had been part of an elite task force aimed at uncovering police corruption, an initiative that had raised several eyebrows in the precinct. She had recently uncovered questionable activities within the department, pointing towards a series of illegal deals between certain officers and prison gangs. Those details, however, were never fully reported. Had Kelly stumbled upon something she shouldn't have? Harris's first step was to look at Kelly's last interactions. She found a meeting scheduled with her supervisor, Lieutenant Frank Matthews, an officer who had taken Kelly under his wing. Matthews was a respected figure in the department, known for his sharp investigative skills. But when Harris pulled up his records, something didn't sit right. Harris started to focus on those closest to Kelly. The young officer had been working closely with Lieutenant Frank Matthews, a senior officer who had earned a reputation for being an outstanding investigator. Matthews was well respected by his peers and had overseen several high-profile cases. But as Harris began reviewing his work history and checking his past, discrepancies began to surface. Lieutenant Matthews had been involved in several questionable cases that seemed to disappear or reach abrupt conclusions without proper investigation. The more Harris dug, the more she realized that Matthews had been a key figure in Kelly's investigation. He had been the one who assigned her to dig into the prison corruption in the first place. Matthews had kept Kelly's investigation secret, even from his closest colleagues. But it wasn't until Harris accessed Kelly's private journal that the full scope of the case began to emerge. Kelly's journal revealed that she had been investigating a covert operation, a collaboration between certain police officers and prison officials. The operation involved smuggling contraband, including drugs, into the state prison system. It was clear now that Kelly's murder wasn't a random act of violence, but a calculated move to silence her before she could blow the lid off the operation. The more Harris uncovered, the clearer it became. High-ranking officers, corrupt prison officials, and even some members of organized crime syndicates had been profiting from the illegal operation for years. Kelly had been close to uncovering the full extent of the conspiracy, and it seemed someone wanted to keep it that way. Harris's suspicion grew, but she needed more concrete evidence to link Matthews to Kelly's death. Her breakthrough came when she managed to obtain a taped conversation from one of Kelly's informants, a former prison guard named Carl Weissman. Weissman had worked in the state prison system for over a decade and had witnessed the corruption firsthand. He had been providing Kelly with information, but his involvement had made him a target. Weissman's tape revealed a shocking conversation between Matthews and a prison official named Arthur Shaw, a man known for his connections to organized crime. The conversation was full of incriminating details about the prison's involvement in the smuggling operation and Matthews' complicity in facilitating the illegal transactions. The most damning part of the tape, however, was Matthews' decision to silence Kelly before she could take the case further. Harris now had everything she needed. Matthews had been actively involved in covering up the illegal operation. His motive for murder was clear. He needed to stop Kelly from exposing the corruption that had been profiting him and his associates for years. With this new evidence in hand, Harris confronted Matthews. The meeting took place in an empty interrogation room, the only sound being the hum of the fluorescent lights above. Matthews sat across from Harris, his face tight with frustration. He was trying to maintain his composure, but it was clear that Harris had caught him. The evidence was too overwhelming for him to deny. "I never meant for any of this to happen," Matthews said, his voice low and strained. "I was just doing my job. Shaw had dirt on me, stuff I couldn't afford to have exposed." "Dirt?" Harris replied, leaning forward. "So you helped him smuggle drugs and weapons into the prison? You were part of this conspiracy the whole time, and now you're responsible for Kelly's death." Matthews' face darkened. "I didn't have a choice. Shaw threatened to destroy my career, my family. You don't understand what it's like to be blackmailed by someone like him." "But you still chose to betray Kelly," Harris snapped. "You chose to betray all of us." Matthews' silence spoke volumes. He knew the truth. His own fear and greed had led to Kelly's death. In the midst of the confrontation, Matthews revealed something Harris hadn't expected. He wasn't the only one involved in Kelly's death. "Shaw didn't just come after me," Matthews admitted. "He had friends in high places. People in this department, people who helped him run the operation, and some of them are still out there." Harris was stunned. Matthews wasn't just the corrupt officer. It seemed that there were others in the department who had been working alongside Shaw, manipulating the investigation, and ensuring that no one came close to exposing the operation. Harris knew she had to act fast. The conspiracy went deeper than Matthews, and now she had to find out who else was involved. The investigation into Kelly's murder led to the uncovering of a widespread police corruption scandal. Harris was able to gather enough evidence to arrest Matthews, Shaw, and several other officers involved in the conspiracy. However, the damage to the department was immeasurable. In the weeks that followed, Harris worked tirelessly to ensure that Shaw's associates, from corrupt guards to the prison's criminal network, were all brought to justice. It was a monumental task, but Harris was determined to uncover the truth and ensure that no one was above the law. As the case came to a close, Harris reflected on the toll it had taken on her. The trust she had in her fellow officers had been shattered, and the loyalty she once believed in had been broken by the betrayal of the very system she had sworn to protect. Kelly Adams, the young officer whose life had been taken too soon, had unknowingly been the catalyst for uncovering the rot at the heart of the police department. The story of Officer Kelly Adams' murder became a symbol of the dark side of justice. Her sacrifice and the unflinching pursuit of truth by Detective Harris led to the exposure of a massive police corruption scandal that would forever change the city. The betrayal within the force not only cost Kelly her life, but also shook the public's faith in the very institution that was meant to serve and protect them. In the end, Harris's investigation proved that no one, no matter their rank or reputation, was beyond accountability. And that was the lesson Kelly Adams's tragic death left behind. A warning that even in the places where trust should be strongest, betrayal can take root, and justice can sometimes be the hardest thing to find. What do you think really happened to Officer Kelly Adams? Was it just a random attack, or is there more to the story? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Like if you think justice will be served, and subscribe for more shocking true crime stories. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you won't miss the next twist in this case.
Today, we bring justice to those who betrayed the public trust.